Welcome to the NFL. Let's go! Let's go! Go!
Good morning, boys and gals. We are here week 2, and I'm sure we're all not overreacting, are we? To what was an explosive week 1 that saw many, out of the ordinary, as we like to call it every single year, week 1 explosions, but it's become more normal than it has the latter. So I'm excited. I'm here. I figure week 2 will be a little busier. Week 1, we were not so much, but week 2, I think we'll be a little busier here with some people looking to get those questions answered. And I'm here for you. All right. Nothing too crazy on the injury front as of right this second. Obviously, the big one's going to be Brock Bowers. We're kind of watching blanket information. If you don't have another tight end to pivot to, might have to avoid starting him as much as I don't want to. You may have to. Big key there, I think, would be maybe to watch the wire to see if Michael Mayer's available. Likely is in most leagues, so that could be your pivot there. I think he would see a decent target share if Bowers does miss. I know he did practice. I saw some reports earlier that he was practicing likely today, so there's a good chance that Bowers does play to some capacity. But if you have a chance to pivot, someone fairly well near the top 5 of the tight end position, I would do that. Had a lot of questions this morning already on the start sit thread over on X between like Tyler Warren and him. Seen a lot of people kind of have both of those players. So that could be an interesting pivot there, just going with Tyler Warren. Or if you picked up like a Juwan Johnson, a little scary this week. But if you have picked up a waiver wire guy, maybe there's a chance that you would like to start him. Either way, let's get into this here. And get some of these questions. Laquan, what's up, dog? What's up? Good morning, Laquan. Over there, you're West Coast. It's real early for Laquan and the fellow FTN gang over there. But me, East Coast in it, getting ready for the Bills. You know, they'll probably lose to the Jets. That's just what we do, right? That's just what the Bills do on the regular. They always manage to blow that one game. Maybe. We'll see. Good morning, Shane. Jake, you were in here bright and early, so we're going to get this one for you. Ibuka, Pickens, or Metcalf. For me, I'm going to ride DK Metcalf here. We can go with that fun revenge game narrative, going back there to face, Seattle coming to him to face him in Pittsburgh. We saw a pretty good target share in a game that I thought he was going to have a struggle with in the Jets game. Gardner had usually had his better half. Wasn't his best game, but definitely did get some volume. I think we'll continue to see that for DK Metcalf. So I'm gonna ride that. I think that DK should be in store for, I guess you could say, kind of a bounce back, maybe a little bit more of one of those historic type of DK type games there for you there. I do like Ibuka though, if you're leaning that way. Very close for me in rankings, just a few spots apart. So you're talking tenths of a point when it comes down to projections and likely ranking finishings. So Pickens would be out, but Metcalf is my lean with Ibuka being right there. Jake will also get this for you quick. We'll go to WWQ there. Hollywood Brown or Alvin Kamara. I'm going to roll Kamara. I know it's a tough game against San Francisco. I know he didn't have a ton of target volume last week. Spencer Rattler, always a concern and scaring as far as an offense goes, but they actually looked pretty competent last week. I know San Francisco is a whole different animal than the Arizona Cardinals defensively. So concerning there, but I think I'll go Kamara. The volume is nice with Hollywood Brown, but that was in a pinch. I want to see what Andy Reid stirs up here now that he's had a week, knowing that he's likely not having Xavier Worthy on the field. I think you'll see a little more Tyquan Thornton involved, maybe some Brashad Smith, maybe Noah Gray gets involved as well. So I don't know if Hollywood Brown repeats, that heavy target volume we saw last week. It was a pretty crazy target share, to be honest. Definitely didn't put that target share in the projections this week. So we're going to roll with Alvin Kamara there. In this instance, WWQ, I would go Hollywood Brown over Devontae Smith. Low volume passing attack. The Chiefs, it's going to be an interesting game, but I do think Barkley is going to be heavily involved in this one. I know the Chiefs are stout against the run, but I do still think that we see a good amount of Saquon. And when they go to pass, I think they were going to want to get A.J. Brown going a little bit. Smith gets the plus with Goddard being out, but I think I'm going to go with Hollywood Brown. I think he's going to be the better of the two in that game there. What's up, David? Derby day. I get you. Soccer. That's what it is. Laquan's over there watching them soccer. Those soccer games. Who does that? Laquan. This is football season. if you'll learn one thing about me when you're watching these shows is I don't branch out too much from the football gang. A little bit. Do like some hockey. Grew up playing hockey. Buffalo, you know what I mean? That's what we do. Hockey. We don't dabble into soccer, or basketball, or anything crazy like that. It's not crazy if you like it, but not my speed. David, 8-man league. Oh, these are always fun. 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 2 flex. Lamb, Collins, T. Higgins, Marvin Harrison Jr., McMillan, Jennings, Tillman, running backs, JK. Oh, man. Okay. Guessing this is the continuation of that question. Would you trade Lamb, Higgins, and one of those bench guys for Chase Pickens and one of Hubbard and Connor? No. No, I don't think so. I think the fall off from Chase to Lamb isn't that bad. So that's really where you're looking to upgrade, would be that. So, no. I think I would just write it out with Lamb and Higgins. I think Higgins is much better than Pickens. So the drop off from Lamb to Chase is not as much as Higgins to Pickens. So I would ride out what you have there. Alberto, good morning, sir. Laquan, Swift, Jamo, or Myers? That's Jacoby Myers. Passing volume is going to be there for Myers in a game. I mean, apparently the Chargers are going to throw the football all the time. So, yeah, that could be an explosive offense. Explosive game between LA and LA. Well, LA and Vegas there, Laquan. So I'm going to roll Jacoby Myers. Which bench piece would I have the most like? Just don't do it, David. That's my play. I would stay there with the Higgins setup. For me. Over on X, we've got Moore or Pickens. That would be DJ Moore. I'm going to ride that out. Interesting matchup there. I think that the Bears might squeak out a win against the Lions today. So I'll go with DJ Moore there. We got Nancy on X, Murray or Drake May. I will ride with Kyler Murray here. Interesting matchup against Carolina. So I roll that out there. Shane, we got full PPR, Javonte Williams, Jones, or Diggs would be Javonte Williams. Full PPR with Parcells, Swift, Jameson, and McMillan. That would be McMillan for me. Also playing Jameson, Williams, and Ridley on my bench. Sampson, Parcell, Mason, Diggs, and Butte. I would go Ridley and Mason in that one. Don't need that to be all caps. He's going to think I'm yelling at him. Alrighty. I got to catch up here on some of these. Alberto, JSN or Ibuka? I will go JSN. 100% there, Alberto. Huge volume last week. And I don't expect much to... It'll probably fall off. Like, it was historic high. So I'm not going there. If he continues that target share, I mean, this guy's going to break fantasy. But still think a little bit more target volume. Ibuka, first game in, you know, you can always play that narrative of teams didn't have tape on them, but they did. But I would go JSN still. Main target in there. Shane, need to play full flex PPR, Javonte Williams, Jones, or Diggs. Shane, I think I just literally answered this question for you on Twitter. So those are your answers. Javonte Williams, McMillan, and I would play Ridley and Jordan Mason for you, Shane. Jake, you are welcome. Enjoy your Sunday. It's always fun. Trey, what is up? Half PPR. Need to pick one wide receiver, one flex between Samson, Johnson, Odunze, Ridley, and Parcell. Okay, so 2 of these, one being a wide receiver. I will go with Ridley. I like the matchup against the Rams. I think it's going to be a little bit back and forth. I think the Rams get the job done. Hopefully, they're my survivor pick in about 3 survivor pools. So hopefully the Rams continue their strong 1 p.m. window play on the East Coast. And my flex would be, I like Odunze. It's between Odunze and Samson for me. So depending on, I know it's half PPR, but I don't know if you got any point per carries, anything crazy in there. Maybe Samson's a little more valuable. I think Samson still sees a heavy passing volume. Pass rush in Baltimore should be able to kind of get home and rush Flacco a little bit. So I do like all the receivers. I think they're going to have to throw from or play from behind, which leads more to Sampson. We're also going to see Ford and Judkins. Like there's going to be a pretty big, heavy committee in there. So I would probably go Ridley and Sampson. But I do like Odunze. Sneaky led the team in target share last week. And I think he could continue to see that. Not the most explosive player at times, but volume's there. I like that. I don't love Pearsall with Mac Jones under center, even though it is New Orleans. So I would go Sampson or Odunze there straight. Mr. Nice Guy, Jawan or Fannin. I would go Harold Fannin there. Much like I said, I think there's going to be some heavy passing in that Baltimore-Cleveland game. So I will go with Fannin. Last week, the 49ers locked down the tight end position. I know it was A.J. Barner, and we just talked about how JSN saw a crazy historic type of numbers there as far as target share goes, at least some of the highest I've seen. It's only week one. It'll level out. But still, going with Harold Fannin. I don't like Jawan against the 49ers. I think Jawan could be something continuing, but not this week. And I would go Calvin Ridley over Keenan Allen there. Again, more passing likely in that game. Jake Mooney or Austin, I would go Calvin Austin. I know it was 1 week, could be a blip, but I do think that the Steelers will have to lean a little more on the passing game. And I thought it could be Roman Wilson, but it appears it will be Calvin Austin's probably going to be that secondary receiver to DK Metcalf. Tootsie Pop, what is up, Rachel? How are you doing? Long time no see. Mac Jones or Joe Flacco is scary. I would go Mac Jones, though. I know I just said I don't love him with Pearsall, but at least they're playing New Orleans. Flacco against Baltimore, it could be something, but I don't know. I don't think we're going to get the Bills and Bills-Ravens game that we got last week. I think it's going to be that they play each other tough, but I do think the Ravens kind of handled their business here. I mean, we're talking about 12-point favorites. If the Browns pull an upset, I would be surprised and very happy because I'm sure that's the heavy lean in the survivor pools. That would definitely eliminate about half of most survivor pools. So, yeah, but I'm going to go Mac Jones there, Rachel. Emilio Swift or Travion Henderson at Flex Standard League. I'm going to go with Henderson. Don't love Swift as far as a touchdown scorer. If it was PPR, you'd still probably go Henderson because he handles a little bit more of the passing work. There's been rumors they want to get him involved more than Ramondre Stevenson. Not too surprised. But I do think Stevenson's still there. But Henderson, I feel like, has a better chance to score that touchdown than DeAndre Swift does, if that makes sense, Emilio. Jake Sutton or Pickens? Sutton. Top 20 receiver for me, as well as I believe the consensus over at FTN last time I checked. So I would roll with Cortland Sutton or Pickens. Good matchup, but Pickens still, I mean, they're still leaning to Lamb. And then we also saw Ferguson be the red zone kind of guy, which is where I thought Pickens would step in. But Dak still obviously prefers that tight end position and saw the target share go a little bit more towards Ferguson. So I'm going to ride Sutton here. Clear guy in that passing attack for for Indianapolis against. It's not the best matchup, but it's also not the hardest matchup either there for Cortland Sutton. Easy 7-1-4, pick one. Pickens, Warren, Butte, or Hunter. Interesting here. I'm probably riding Hunter. It's going to be a matchup. There's going to have to be some passing against Cincinnati. I know they talked about him playing a little bit more defensively, which means he may step back a little bit on the offensive side, but we saw him steal a heavy good target share from Brian Thomas Jr. and really tank Brian Thomas Jr. in week one. Saw some missed throws there from Lawrence to Thomas as well. So some positive regression could be coming for Brian Thomas, but I like Hunter. I think Hunter's probably my play here. The only other option would be maybe Warren, but I don't love Jaylen Warren unless he scores a touchdown. And it's likely that he scores, but I'm not banking on that. So I would go with Travis Hunter in that situation and wait on Butte. Good pickup, I think, on the waiver wire. Let's just see one more week. I mean, we've seen it if you regress back to last year and look back, we've seen the positive target share and kind of the connection between him and May. But I want to see it one more time this week, I think, against Miami before I say fire up Keyshawn Butte. Laquan, Hunter Henry, or Jawan Johnson. I'm going Hunter Henry. Johnson, again, we'll talk about it a little bit earlier. The pickup, smart. Volume was crazy there against against Arizona, but I don't think he sees 11 targets regularly, especially against what was a good defense against Seattle last week in the 49ers. So going to ride Hunter Henry against Miami in what is a passing attack that's still in flux. Like we just talked about, Butte seen the volume, but Hunter Henry also saw pretty decent volume last week as well. Alrighty, lost my spot. Looking to trade for Cook. Trade TVJ. Why can't I think of that? And Sutton for Cook. Why can't I think of TBJ? Who's TBJ, Alberto? I can't think of the name of the initials off the top of my head. Or anybody, Alberto, that knows what Alberto is talking about. TBJ, I can't think of those initials right now. Alberto, if you respond, I will circle back. Laquan concerns not at all. It just repeats last year. History all over again. Repeating what we saw last year with Mark Andrews. So, yeah, no, not concerned at all. It'll come around. When you're seeing Zay Flower run all over the field and Derrick Henry running all over the Bills, they don't need to throw it to Mark Andrews. But yes, I'm not concerned long term. I do think that we get a rebound, even potentially today, from Mark Andrews finding the end zone. I got someone on X talking about Bowers. He does have Michael Mayer, so there's where that is, or start Strange. I would stay Bowers and pivot to Mayer if needed. This is what I was talking about a little bit earlier there. If you got Michael Mayer on the waiver wire, head on over there. Lock them up. Make it easy for yourselves. Also, we got Javonte Williams, Aaron Jones. We'll answer that one quick. We'll get that out of here for Joe on X. David, all right, here. PPR, one running back, one flex. Options are Jones, Dobbins, Johnston, Tutton, Harvey, Benson. Also, do I risk Bowers and drop one of these guys? I would risk Bowers for sure. Drop one of these guys. The guy I would drop is likely either Tutton or Benson. Chance you could get either of those back in waivers if you needed to. The player I would play is probably Dobbins and Johnston for you there. Alberto, Mason, or Tracy would be Mason for me there. Hollywood or Devonta for Joey would be Hollywood. Ray Gamer, Sutton, or Ibuka in standard. In which defense should I play this week? Bills, Cardinals, Seahawks, Steelers, or Vikings? I would go Sutton over Ibuka by just a hair, Ray. It's not crazy if you lean Ibuka. Totally fine with it, but I think Sutton might have a little bit of a bigger day. As far as the defense goes, I'm probably going with the Cardinals. The Bills they're not fully healthy yet. They're not really causing too many turnovers. They're also going to be missing Ed Oliver. Not sold on that. There's a good chance that this game's a little closer than we want it to be as Bills fans. So I'll go with the Cardinals against the Panthers. More likely Bryce Young's turn the football over than Justin Fields, in my personal opinion. So I'm going to go there with Carolina. David, I will go David Njoku. Fringe tight end one for me. Juwan Johnson, a little bit less. I just think the 49ers are a little tougher against the tight end position. We saw it last week. So I'll ride with David Njoku. David. Not sure, man. I personally wouldn't pick the 49ers. That's too risky for me. I know it's a good team, and Mac Jones shouldn't sway us too much, but it does for me. So I will say I would change it. My 3 picks this week were my article over at PM The Chalk was Rams, Cardinals, and I can't think of the third one off the top of my head, but Rams or Cardinals are 2 good options there for me over the 49ers personally. AJ Brown, T. Higgins, Pacheco, Ibuka, pick 2. I would go Higgins and AJ Brown, TJ. That's where I'm at. I think they try to get Brown back involved this week. I think T. Higgins is in store for a big game as well against the Jaguars. JK, Odunze, or Shakir. I would go Rome Odunze here, JK. For sure. I like that matchup this week. I think, again, target volume, I'm there. Shakir could have a decent one against the Jets. Typically, that's kind of where the Bills tend to attack against the Jets is the interior. They don't necessarily focus on the perimeter. But we just saw Keon Coleman kind of break out-ish there in week one. And if we continue to see that and they continue to give him a shot, Shakir might not be the guy you really want to start weekly, where I would rather Rowan Dunze. Oh, Brian Thomas Jr. Don't mind me. Thank you, Joey, as well. Yeah, that just didn't click in the top of my head there. So trading Brian Thomas Jr. and Sutton, no, I would not do that, Alberto, for James Cook. Nope, not happening. Brian Thomas Jr., yes, it was a down week in week one, but again, we had some missed targets. There's still enough volume in that passing attack for both him and Hunter to survive. Cortland Sutton, also a very solid piece. And you're giving up way too much. Like if it was Brian Thomas Jr. for James Cook, sure. But I ain't giving up 2 top 20 potential receivers for 1 top 15 running back who's not even guaranteed to be top 15. So, no, not for me. Too rich still for mine. James, morning to be back. It is good to be back. You know, it gets mundane by the end of the season. We'll probably complain about it, you know, doing the same content over and over and over. But it's good to have football and to have fun things to write about on a weekly basis. So yes, I am happy to be back as well, James. Fannin, Pitts, or Ingram, I would go Evan Ingram there for you. Saw a little bit of an injury absence last week. I think he still sees 4 to 7 targets easily in that offense. Could have a pretty big day. Fannin would be the only pivot. Obviously, we saw him get heavily targeted in what they should be also, and again, in a negative game script. Unlikely to probably have as many points scored in this game as it was against Cincinnati. So little bit of regression, I think, coming for Harold Fannin. So I'm probably going to roll with Ingram. Would I go Butte or Cup either over Tracy or Walker and Flex? I would say I'm probably rolling Ken Walker still there. I'm not giving up after 1 week there. And then Knicks, but picked up Penix. Let's see how they both do this week. Yeah, I don't mind that, James. I mean, I don't love Michael Penix. I think he's an okay quarterback for fantasy, but like I'm not rushing to the starting line to toss him in my lineup. I would rather probably start Knicks on a weekly basis, but I am worried that Knicks could see a little bit of a drop off. So not bad to hold Penix there as a backup plan, James. Sam, love the show. Thanks for everything. You are welcome. Anytime. I always love a positive feedback to get that Sunday morning rolling. I need advice on a roster start 2 for DJ Moore, Javonte, Mason, and Travion Henderson. So I'd go to Javonte and likely DJ Moore. I think that, again, the Bears are my sneaky upset kind of the week. I think that they get the job done against the Lions. And DJ Moore, I think, will be a part of that. Rome Odunze led the team last week in target share, but I think that the Vikings did a good job of keeping DJ Moore at bay. I don't know if the Lions will do that. I think DJ Moore could have a pretty big day. So I'm going to go with DJ Moore and Javonte Williams based on touchdowns against the Giants. Likely positive game script for Javonte to see some pretty heavy rushing volume in the second half. Start 2, Pacheco, Scadaboo, and Monungai. Probably Pacheco for sure. And then Monungai. Scadaboo didn't see a ton of volume last week. I don't expect that again this week against Dallas, so I'll probably go Pacheco and Monungai. Francis. Roger Harvey or Pacheco? Ooh. I'll go RJ Harvey. Very explosive last week. Maybe gets a little bit more touches against Indy this week, so I'll go with Harvey. It's close. Kind of a coin toss there for those two. On X, going to slide back there. Yashel, JMO, Pickens, Abuka, DJ Moore. So that would be Moore and Abuka. Weldon, J.K. Dobbins, or Jameson would be J.K. Ridley or Diggs in flex. Ridley. And then Ingram or Fannin would be Ingram. Moman on X, Cedric Tillman or Travis Hunter. I would go Hunter there. Just going to catch up on some of these X questions here. David, lost Kittle, have Pitts. Do I start him or drop him and pick up one of Andrews, Fannin, Johnson, or Henry? I mean, I would pick up Mark Andrews if he's out there. Honestly, David, I'd rather have Andrews than Pitts rest of the season and this week. Henry, too, truthfully. Yeah, honestly, I'd probably take all of those. If this is the eight-man league, I would definitely go with Andrews. I think he's a guy you could just plug in for the rest of the absence of George Kittle. So, Sergio, hey, first time on here, but I've been reading FTN for a while now. Well, welcome to the stream. Welcome where it gets real. No, yes, welcome in. Appreciate you tuning in. I wanted to ask, would you give ETN and Diggs and get Downs and Butte and a 26 second rounder if you are rebuilding dynasty team in a bad place? Okay, so you're giving up ETN and Diggs, get Downs and Butte. I would almost want. I mean, I don't hate it. I think ETN's a huge question mark here. Diggs for the second and Downs and Butte, like is okay. Like Downs in a second, sure, for Diggs. Like I would do that in Dynasty all day. But then you've got ETN and Butte, like feels like you're giving up a little bit, but also ETN was like dead value a week ago. So I feel like personally, I would rather have maybe another second rounder than Butte. Like Butte's intriguing. I like him, but I don't know if the value's there to compensate for ETN. So I would probably try that route, maybe Downs in 2 seconds, because you could just be getting 2 roster cloggers and then even possibly a roster clogger in the 26th second and giving up starters in ETN and Diggs, even though you're rebuilding. Alternate option is just try to get maybe just like 1 first round pick for ETN and Diggs. Worth a shot, personally, in my opinion. I'd rather have that. So David, need 2 running backs. Options are Dobbins, Jones, Mason, Tutton, and K9. Dobbins and Mason would be my 2. Hold off on Tutton. Let's see how this target or rushing share goes. Jones, he might be a little passing script though, but I think Minnesota's going to try to run it a little bit more. So I think you'll see Mason and Dobbins be their better 2. K9 intriguing as well. Maybe, man. Go. I'm torn between Dobbins, Mason, and K9. I'll mark it down to 3 from 5. You figure out whether you want to go with K9 or Mason. That would be my play right there. Roger, you are welcome. First time. Well, hopefully you come back. Maybe as long as the advice is good, you'll come back, right, Roger? Maybe we'll just come back for the last. That's always fun. Troll me, whichever you want. As long as you tune in, I don't care, Roger. Whatever you want to do. Ben, Ridley, Tillman, or Charbonnet, pick one would be Ridley for me there, Ben. Tyler Warren over David Njoku for me, Ben, as well. DJ Moore or Buka for Juan Marco. DJ Moore. It's close, but I will go DJ Moore. Talked about it a little bit here if you've been watching. I think the Bears can upset the Lions, and I think DJ Moore will be a huge part of that. And you are welcome, Shiro. Also, if you're at FTN and you want to check it out, if you're part of us, head over to Discord. I can help walk you through those trades as well in Dynasty. John Shierda, Pollard, Ibuka, or Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr. I've been beating the drum all summer for the bounce back. We saw it in week 1. I think it continues here in week 2. So rolling Marvin Harrison Jr. Dave Odunze, Sampson, or Austin. I'll probably go Odunze. Again, if the Bears are going to win, they got to throw. So I'm going to go with Rome Odunze here. Decent volume. Did lead the team last week in target share. I don't know if that continues this week, but definitely kind of a little bit of the favorite in the red zone at the moment for the receiver position for Caleb. So I'm going to roll with Odunze. There's some serious trust there. It's Puda Mike decided to jump on YouTube. I have a herd of, guessing that's going to be questions, Michael. But yeah, shoot them over. I'll answer them as they come in, Mike. David, one flex options are Hunter, Pacheco, Charbonnet, Johnston. I'd go Hunter. PPR. Had good volume last week. I think you'll continue to see that again this week. You're welcome, Han Marco. On Marco, I also have Tracy, but I think DJ and DJ and Ibuka are safer for sure. Lean DJ more. Camille, half PPR, 2 flex spots out of Flowers, Ridley, RJ, Shakir, and Chubb. Take the receivers. Flowers and Ridley. We just saw Flowers explode last week. Again, the Bills were secondary. Also scared. Also why I have Garrett Wilson significantly higher than the rest of everywhere. Bill secondary is scary right now. So it could be a little bit of why Flowers did what he did. Also could just be that the Ravens schemed him open very well, which they did. So I do like Flowers and Ridley out of these two here, Camille. On X, Nick, Billy, Pickens, Pearsall, Evans, ETN. What two for my 2 flex spots would be ETN and Evans? Little concern for Pearsall totally with the with Mac Jones under center. Should be okay, but scared a little bit. 1 point PPR for Kevin, Sartu, Olave, Allen, Pickens, Jameson. Dunze, I would go Allen. Or I'll go Pickens. Oh my God, if I could type Pickens and Dunze. There, Kevin. Nix or T-Law, I would go T-Law there for freeze warning. Mahomes or Herbert for Courtney. I would go Herbert there. They came out firing last week. I don't know if that was just their game plan against the Chiefs or if that's their game plan moving forward. It's their game plan moving forward. Justin Herbert will be a steal in the draft when we look back. Aaron Konsu trade came to me. Trade away Javonte Williams, A. Flowers for Pearsall and Walker. Nah. I don't think the Javonte Williams volume still was inefficient as far as yards per carry, etc. goes, as much of the Dallas running backs tend to be. But I don't think that volume's going away, and I don't think Flowers' volume is going away either. Pearsall, concerning as far as they just added Kendrick Bourne. They've been adding pieces. Kittle will come back. Ayuk's going to come back at some point. So, like, long term, it's better value to hold on to Javonte and Flowers there, Aaron. Let's see here. So Harvey or Pacheco, I will go Harvey. Amanda here on X, Burrow or Fields, Johnston or Hunter. I would go Burrow and Hunter. Let's see here, Billy. Would you make any changes? Scott, Nick's, Neighbors, Sutton, Ibuka, Brown, Irving, Fannin, Tyler Warren, Elliott. Henderson on the bench. Hendo over Warren. That'd be my play. There, Billy. Okay. Sports Square, Dak Prescott or Mahomes. I would go Mahomes. Butte or Hunter. I would go Hunter. The Rad had Drake, May or Dak would be May, and then Mason over Ken Walker. May and Mason kind of sounds like a law firm, right? We could stretch that, right? Make it a law firm. Match winning start on X, Olave, Jameson, or Coleman. I will go Coleman. Also has Henderson or ETN. I would go ETN. Tet, Hollywood, or Ridley would be Tet. McMillan for me. We also have, I just answered that one. Jawan, Johnson, Fannin, or Strange. I will go with Strange. Again, I think it's going to have to be a heavy passing attack for the Jacksonville Jaguars to contend with the Cincinnati Bengals, which is the goal and the aim of the game. So I do think that we see some volume for Brent Strange today. Zach Mitchell, Johnson, or Fannin today with Kittle out. I would go Fannin there. Better matchup. Alex, Bo Nix, or Dak. That one is Dak for me. Jawan Johnson or Fannin. Just answered it as well. Just a minute ago. I will go Harold Fannin. Laporta or Pitts. Ooh, do not bench Sam Laporta. Ski. Gonna answer your Gore Storm. It's gonna solve your problems all season long. Just don't bench Laporta. All right. I have heard of wide receivers to choose from. All right, Michael. There we go. That's the part that we lost. Didn't have the wide receiver part last time. Harrison, Abuka, Odunze for my wide receiver flex. Also tight end, I have Fannin or Ferguson. Michael will easily start it out with Ferguson over Fannin in on that. So let's break down the wide receivers. Harrison, Abuka, Odunze. Only get to pick one, which is tough. But I'm going to go Marvin Harrison. I like the matchup against Carolina. I know you got JC Horn, all fun in Carolina secondary, but I do lean to Marvin Harrison. I think the breakout's coming. I think the target share's there. When they get to the red zone, they tend to lean to Harrison. So I think touchdowns incoming. I think Abuka, we could see a little bit of fall off. Like, still a very good start on a weekly basis. I just don't think you're not getting 2 touchdowns every week, etc. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Harrison there. Alberto, Amon-Ra, or DK. I'm going to go Amon-Ra. I think that the Lions are going to want to prove a little bit too from last week, like all the disrespect of like Ben Johnson leaving. Like, there's going to be this is due to be a chippy and fun game, so I'm going to go Amon-Ra there. Jamie on X, full PPR, Mike Evans or DK. That is Evans, and Pearsall or Hollywood Brown would be Brown. Oh man, for me there, Jamie. David, you are welcome. Josh, Butte, Ridley, or Diggs. I would go Ridley there. Kalini, how are you doing? Tracy, Harvey, Charbonnet, Johnson Jr. That would be Tracy, and then Fannin or Njoku. Ooh, the Browns battle. I'm gonna go Njoku. I think they try to like flip the script a little and come back to Njoku. Jay Wyatt, Tyreek or Charbonnet. I gotta go Tyreek. I know it's been rough, and I know it doesn't feel good submitting that in your lineup, but what's not going to feel good is when he goes off for like 50 and you're going to be like, no. So he's not going for 50, Jay Wait. But I do think Tyreek Hill does outperform Charbonnet today. Alberto, Warren, or Strange. Yeah, I mean, I like Strange, Alberto, but let's not get too crazy there. Still going to ride Tyler Warren. I know Denver's a tough matchup, but it actually might help Tyler Warren because the perimeter's a tough matchup. Warren and Downs could be in a spot that they could kind of bounce back. Well, Warren doesn't have to bounce back, but Downs could bounce back. Kind of the interior passing attack is a little bit easier when it comes to the Denver defense. So I will go with Tyler Warren still there. And you are welcome. Cody on X, 2 questions, David Montgomery or Sampson. I will go Sampson. And then J.K. Dobbins, Charbonnet, or Harvey. That one I will go Dobbins. Let's see here. Leggett or Strange. That one would be Strange for me. Alrighty here. Simon, welcome in. Marvin, Garrett Wilson. I'm going Garrett Wilson. Talked about it a little bit. Sneaked it in there. Extremely high on Garrett Wilson this week. I the Bills secondary's in shambles to an extent. So I am going to expect Garrett Wilson to see a pretty big game this week. I am ranked higher than everybody over at FTN. I do like Marv, but I'm going to lean to Garrett Wilson in what we just saw Zay go explosive and nuclear, you could argue, against this secondary. T-Bills, Coleman, McMillan, Ridley, Judy, Austin, or Butane. Oh, man, that is a plethora of riches. I'm going to ride with McMillan, though. Highest ranked player for me, Ted McMillan. So I do like Coleman. Again, though, the Jets secondary, a little scary for Coleman. The Baltimore was too, but I trust more the Jets won't kind of lay an egg like Baltimore did as far as the secondary goes. So I'm going to go with McMillan there. Texans or 49ers, Alberto? 49ers. Let's be real. Spencer Rattler's like 0-7 against in his starting career. So I'm going to take the 49ers there. More likely to get a turnover, I think. Okay. Let's see here. X Hollywood, Javante, or Ridley. I'd go Javante. Bank on the touchdown equity. Banking us back in again this week. Amanda, Coleman, or Judy. Ooh. I'll go Coleman there. It's close, but I'll go with Keon Coleman there. Let's see here. Gunna on X. Pick 3. Nico, Ladd, Hollywood, Butte, or Chubb. Jawan or Kincaid. Colts or Cowboys. So we're going to go Nico, Ladd, and Hollywood. And then Kincaid. Okay. Jets, Abuka, or Pickens. I'd go Abuka there. Yeah. I'd go Abuka over Pickens. Like Pickens, but it's not. I don't know if this is the week for him to smash that through the roof there. All right, we got let's see here. Pickens, J.K. Dobbins, or Tet McMillan. Pick 2. So that would be Tet and Pickens. I'd take Pickens over J.K. this week. Defense, Cowboys, or Pats. I would go Cowboys. And Kincaid or Johnson would be Kincaid. All right. Ronaldo on X, DK Metcalf, or Tyreek Hill, PPR. That I would go DK. And Dak, Kyler, Fields. I would go Fields. Let's see here. Alberto coming in with Sutton or McConkey. McConkey. Yeah, I still believe in McConkey. I mean, he's not like a top 12 guy, but I kind of preached that for a long time that he wasn't going to be a top guy. Strong wide receiver too. Better than Sutton though for me, for Alberto. So I think he's the number 1 NFL receiver. I should say fantasy, not a wide receiver 1. But wide receiver 2. Perfectly fine. Weekly starter for me still with McConkey. I know the volume was a little down with Keenan Allen, etc., but better days are to come. Week 1's always a fun little bump. Matt, yardage and touchdown bonuses, full PPR. I got to start 2. Metcalf, Ridley, Tillman, and Johnston. Let's see here. I would go with DK and Ridley. Like DK and kind of the revenge game narrative there. And then Ridley, I think the Titans are going to have to pass to keep up with the Rams. So going to have some volume. Ridley can beat that secondary as long as Cam Ward gets the ball to him. He'll be all right. So I'm going to roll with that. Michael Aiken, Adams or Allen, Kelsey or Henry. Travis Kelsey, for sure, especially without Worthy. I think they're going to have to use him pretty heavily in that passing attack. And then I'm going Devontae Adams over Keenan Allen. Again, I think that they try to get Adams a little bit more involved this week. Titans secondary is a little tough, but I do think that Adams will prevail as far as volume and production over Keenan Allen there. Alrighty. Fred. Sorry, Fred. Was reading something. Start Fannin or Hope Bowers plays. Mayers isn't available. You gotta start Fannin then, Fred. I don't want to do it. But you can't have nobody to play. Like at least Fannin something is better than a 0 from Bowers that you could end up with if you can't start him. Sounds like he might play, but I think I would just err on caution and roll with Harold Fannin personally there, Fred. I don't want the 0. Some points are better than no points. Night Shift Gamer, Flex Spot, Tyreek Hill, or Tony Pollard. I'd go Tyreek Hill. I'm out on Pollard this week. Was a sit for me last week, is also a sit for me again this week in Tony Pollard. So I will definitely be sitting him there. Let's see here. This is Hill for J-Way. I think we got these ones on the stream, but I'm just double checking. I saw some X comments. I don't know where the X comments are there. I don't know how you guys are leaving these comments because I don't see it on the post. Either way, they're getting here. Dun 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 dun. Ligabin. There's that little big man. I think that's what that is. Little big man. What is up? Next, Caleb or Penix? Rest of season. Ooh, okay. Caleb Williams. I don't trust Caleb a ton either, but not in on Penix. I don't know if he's going to be a huge fantasy asset. Good quarterback 2 type of territory, not quarterback 1. Caleb has quarterback 1 upside. Nix obviously does, but I am expecting a regression from Nix now that they can run the football a little better. We kind of even saw it last week. He struggled a little, like sophomore slump. I mean, I believe in it a little bit. So I'm going to go with Caleb Williams there, personally, for me. And I'm probably on the opposite side of what most people would probably say. They probably say roll with Nix, but I just don't see it from Nix this year. Okay, let's see if the X wants to operate. All right, we got Dobbins, Waddle, or Keon Coleman. I'm gonna go Coleman there. Alrighty. Real life doctor on X start to Kamara, Myers, Brown, or Adams. So I'm going to go Adams and Myers. There. Let's see. Let's take a peek at the week 2 inactives for probably mostly the early window. Wasn't, like I said, too many people fantasy viable we were worried about, but let's see here. Oh, Jair Alexander's not playing for the Ravens. That's intriguing. No Likely, Mitchell, nothing crazy there. Bills, nothing crazy there. Kyler Gordon out for the Bears. It's a little help there for the passing attack of the Lions. Nothing crazy in the Bengals. Browns, Raheem Sanders is inactive now that they've got Judkins. So it looks like Judkins will be playing today. Dallas Cowboys, Jaden Blue is out again. So that hype train has halted. Lions, nothing crazy. Jaguars, nothing crazy. Rams, nothing crazy. Dolphins, nothing crazy. No Darren Waller or Jalen Wright. Not likely starting any of those players, anyways. No Gonzalez for the Patriots either. That is a bump for the Dolphins receivers. Kind of was expecting a little bit of that, anyways. Saints, no Trevor Penning on tackle. Scary there. No Chase Young. Saints. Couple interesting pieces there for the Saints. Not directly fantasy, but indirectly they will be fantasy issues. Giants, Jameis Winston's inactive. Jets, nothing crazy. Steelers, not overly concerning. Seahawks, neither. 49ers, no. Brock Purdy, which we knew. Titans, nothing crazy. So, nope. Nothing too crazy for the 1 p.m. window there. As far as inactives go, let's see what we got for any more questions coming in here. Amanda has one last one. I have Houston defense worthy on IR. Was a bench spot in Dallas is available. Better option for the week. Dallas. I would say Dallas is better. Knicks or May would be May for me this week. Alex, Jacoby Myers, Javonte Williams, Pickens, PPR, pick one to start. I will go Jacoby Myers in that instance. JD Wilson, what is up? Need 3 of 4. Okay. 1.5 or 1.5 PPR for tight ends. Kelsey, Hollywood, Evans, St. Brown. Ooh, that's a tough one. I would sit Hollywood Brown, especially because the tight end premium. So Evans, Amon-Ra, and Kelsey would be my 3 starters there, JD. Mainly because of the tight end bonus over Hollywood. I think Hollywood, Kelsey, similar volume probably in that passing attack today, but that extra 0.5, I think Kelsey, we see a little bit of vintage Kelsey today there against the Eagles. Also, there's some pretty good props out there. Seeing some of fellow fantasy analysts post them out there. Dylan Sampson's over receptions 2.5. Really good one. Just see here, Alfredo Brown tossing up Gibbs is only 3.5. Jeez. So if you're a betting person, check out some of those lines there on some of the different sites because some of these seem egregiously low this week. Roger Wells, Mason or Butte? I'm gonna go with Mason. I know there's the connection with Butte, and we're seeing it. I just think Mason likely scores a touchdown tonight. Butte maybe, but I don't think so. I think they go a little bit run heavy against this Miami defense this week. A lot of Henderson, a lot of Ramondre Stevenson. I even think Drake May gallops in there for a touchdown today. So yeah, I think Butte's okay start, but you have a better pivot there with Jordan Mason. Bo Nix or Dak Prescott? I will go Dak. Also on X, Dell, huge job, Caleb Johnson for Judkins. Yes. I would have drafted Judkins over Caleb Johnson. At least if it was Dynasty. But yeah, I'll take Judkins over Caleb Johnson at this point. I know he's a rookie and he's seasoned in, but I had questions about Caleb Johnson coming out to begin with, and now he's playing behind Warren and Kenny Gainwell. And I know it's Arthur Smith. We can, whatever. But either way, a little concerned for Caleb Johnson. G, Charbonnet or Johnston? Charbonnet. I'll go Charbonnet there. More likely to get in the end zone. I know Johnson just coming off 2 touchdowns, but let's be honest. That's not a weekly thing for Quentin Johnston. And we also saw them throw a lot more than we thought the Chargers would throw. So until we know that's a thing, I'm not banking on Johnson even getting 1 touchdown, let alone 2. So I'll go with Charbonnet. We kind of see that he's the red zone guy there in Seattle. Buterus, Jawan Jennings or Jalen Waddle? I'll go Jennings, I guess. Don't like either of these, to be honest. But Jennings feels like the lesser of 2 evils for me this week. Thumbs up to you too, G. Hopefully it works out. Did I star? What does the star mean? I don't know what the star means, but I'm hitting a G, so I don't know what it did. But yeah, I'm rolling with it. Let's see here. Pollard, DJ Moore, Hollywood Brown. Need to pick one. That would be DJ Moore for me. Let's see here. No. Hey. So we roll into the 12 o'clock hour. No surprise, stuff is slowing down a bit. So we got Jennings, Mooney, Downs, or A.O. Manor. Ooh, that's tough. I'm going to go Mooney there. Darnell Mooney had a few good games. It was overshadowed by Drake London, but Darnell Mooney was pretty solid in the limited time he had with Michael Penix. I think we could see that again, and it's gonna be a shootout a little bit. I think tonight against the Minnesota Vikings. Coffee, the best friend of a fantasy analyst who has a toddler. That's me. Coffee. It's like my 5th cup this morning. So if you can't tell, I'm a little amped up here. So Oh, wow. They're 12.5 point favorites now, the Ravens over the Browns. So, yeah. I'm going to root for the Browns, though. I'm just going to say it. I'm rooting for the upset, mainly out of a little bit of selfishness because I'm in enough survivor pools that be sweet because it'd probably knock out half of the leagues with that loss. So I'm going to be rooting for it. I'm going for it. Anybody else? Just don't pick Baltimore. Change them real quick so we can all be on the same train. The power of manifestation. That's what I'm trying here. That is what I'm trying, folks. The manifestation of an upset of the Browns over Baltimore, because I think it'd just be fun. Calvin Ridley getting in the end zone this weekend. Not comfortable starting Pickens until he actually does something. Roger, it could be a start if Pickens cared. Some of his non-targeted routes, we saw all that slander on the weekend or over the week leading into the weekend. I still love George Pickens. I think that loved him in Georgia, loved him coming out. Like, I get it though, until he does something is key there. We saw plenty of volume towards Ferguson. We saw plenty of volume towards Lamb. So Pickens, we might have to ease our expectations a bit. I would start Ridley over Pickens for sure. Does he get in the end zone? Can't guarantee it. But if I had to bet, yes. I think he does find the end zone today on Calvin Ridley. Anytime touchdown. Lock it in. Since we're betting over here, Roger. Let's see here. Tracy, Shakir, or Olave. Pick two. Tracy and Shakir for me. Alicia on X, start two. Hunter, Quentin Johnson, Tyreek, or Tet. Tet and Tyreek for me. Jameson or Ridley. I'm going to go Ridley. There on X as well for Z. Billy Fannin over Warren. Nah. Although Fannin going off would help my manifestation of a Cleveland upset. So, but yeah, no, staying with Tyler Warren in this matchup. I know it's tougher, but it's not the toughest. Roger, I do. It is with FTN. It is a Dynasty podcast, though. Don't talk a ton of redraft there. But you can just follow me on X. I don't know if you have an X account, Twitter, that's what we used to call it. We also have a Substack for myself, but Pope's FFH is the Twitter handle. Used to be on here. I don't have it on here. I make the graphics. I was going to put it on this one. Totally forgot, but didn't. But it is just Pope's, just like the Pope. Christian Pope, POPESFFH. If you want to toss me a follow over there, I have links to everything I do, and the FTN Dynasty podcast, Apple, Spotify, you name it. There's stuff on there for that. Appreciate it, Roger. Would appreciate all the support. It goes a long way for FTN and myself. David over on X here. We've got Waddle and Charbonnet. I would go Charbonnet in this situation there, David. And then Hunter or Hollywood Brown. I would go Brown. There. Let's see here. What am I looking for here? Slowing down a little bit here. Typically does around this hour. We'll see if we get some more coming in here. We got what? Jalen Waddle, Javonte, David Montgomery, Johnston. I'll go Javonte in this spot. I think he gets in the end zone. I like to mitigate risk. I think the safety of a touchdown for Javonte Williams seems a little likely. Harold Fannin over Jawan Johnson for me. Pickens, JMO, DK, Keenan Allen. Which one do you bench? Would be Jamison Williams there. Dak or Justin Fields would be Fields for me. I hear noises. Hear notifications. Don't see them anywhere. Ah, there they are. All right. We got Bart on X, Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, Ramondre, Keelan. That's a lot of questions, but who? I'm guessing one of them, Bart. So I'm going to say Henry would be my start. Ale Manor's interesting, but I think I'm going to go Hunter Henry there. Harp, Pollard, or Hampton. Ooh, don't like either. I guess I'll go Hampton. Don't like either. Tillman, Jones, Senior, Butte, Sampson. I will go Tillman. There, for you, Harp. Because we're getting the Cleveland upset, Harp. It's happening. It's happening. If this happens, I'm gonna just I'll have to cut that, to crop this out of here. What would it be? Snip it out of the video and just post that on my X account as my pinned tweet, just on repeat. You'll see Cleveland upset. Cleveland upset. Make it into a GIF. So that's what the kids do nowadays. Let's see here. Mooney, Downs, or Wandell. Ooh, that's intriguing. Wandell. I haven't heard any Wandell questions today. That's interesting. First one of those. Which is surprising. It's Wandell Robinson. He's a sneaky good asset to have on your fantasy team. You're welcome, Alberto. Especially once bye weeks come. PPR volume. Playing any PPR. This guy you got to have on your roster. Corey, I will take Devontae Adams over Hollywood Brown, Travis Hunter, and DJ Moore. Goff or Knicks. I will take Bo Nix there against Indianapolis for Rick on X. Myers, Moore, or ETN. I will go Travis Etienne for Matthew on X. Tyler, London, or Ibuka. Let's not get crazy here, Tyler. Straight London for me. I'm W3, Hunter Henry, or Brenton Strange. I will go Brenton Strange there. Let's see here. Mayfield, Wilson, or Flowers. Yeah, that's Garrett Wilson for me, Colin. Travis Hunter, Charbonnet, Sampson, or Keenan Allen. I will go Travis Hunter for Steve. Start one, Diggs, Butte, Warren, or Jennings for Andrew. That would be Warren, as in Jalen Warren. Standard League, Stafford or Geno Smith. Ooh, that's rough. Geno Smith there for Nate. Sorry, Nate, that you're in that situation. Had to be a Brock Purdy manager. Had to be. Other Nate, Devontae Adams, or Hollywood Brown is Devontae. Let's see here. Fannin or Strange for Chris. I'm going Strange. You know, I'm gonna be a strange answer, right? I'll be on the opposite side of what many people are gonna pick, probably. I will go with Strange. Just I think they're going to have to throw a little more. And I think that, you know, someone mentioned he only had 4 targets and it was top 20 amongst tight ends last week. It's only 2 targets off top 12, which was 6 targets last week. So Strange is well within that range. I think you also see a little bit more of a leveling between Fannin and David Njoku. Love Harold Fannin. Did well with what he did last week, but David Njoku's, I personally think, a little bit better. The key with Njoku is he's a better blocker, hence he stays in a little bit more. But I do think that we see a little more David Njoku this week, and Fannin kind of regresses back. Feels much like an Isaiah Likely situation. Maybe he's involved more than Likely was down the stretch, but I think like Njoku's still the guy as far as the tight ends go that you want long-term rest of the season in Cleveland. Jake has Mike Evans or Travis Etienne. I would go Mike Evans there. We also got another one, Juwan Johnson or Brenton Strange. I'm riding Strange. I'm in on Brenton Strange this week. I may be wrong, and then I'm going to look like an idiot to a lot of people, but hopefully that's not the case. Matt P, non-PPR, need 3. Henderson, Sutton, Coleman, Abuka, DJ Moore, Hollywood. Okay, so non-PPR, really leaning on the touchdown side of the game. So I'm going to go with Cortland Sutton, Travion Henderson, DJ Moore. Matt, want to see from Coleman one more week before I'm putting him in over even honestly Abuka. So, yeah, Coleman's still ranked fairly high, top 36 guy, but all these other guys are honestly every single player here is ranked higher than Keon Coleman for me. So, and I'm a big Keon Coleman fan. So, tells you everything you know. Reset season, how's it going? I haven't seen. Good to see you back. Remember you last year? I remember things every now and then. Not an elephant. I can't remember everything, but remember most things, we'll say. Bo Nix or Dak. I'm going to go with Dak Prescott here for you. Like the matchup against the Giants. Ridley, Olave, or Pearsall. Ridley. Yeah, Ridley's top 30 guy for me. The other two are not. So that's where I'm at. Ridley, I think the volume will be there in the passing attack against the Rams. K9 or Jordan Mason. I will go Jordan Mason. Really close, but I think Mason, a little easier matchup against Atlanta. Saw heavy volume as far as rushing share went. Likely gets in the end zone this week for Jordan Mason. Dell, we got Diggs, McMillan, or Tillman. I'm going Ted McMillan there. Ricky on X, start 2, full PPR, Pollard, Jones, or Diggs. I will go Pollard and Diggs. There. The clock ticks ever so closely to the 1 o'clock kickoff. Another good comment. I always love good comments. Thank you, Reset Season. Always makes me feel good. You know, we don't always get the good, nice compliments in the fantasy industry. We usually get the other side of it. And in case anybody's wondering, this is not my full-time job. I do have another job. That was always the good slander. Get a job, bro. You know what I mean? Good times. Gotta love the haters, right? Isn't that what they say? If you ain't got no haters, you ain't doing something right. Again, I think that's what the young folks say. I'm not young, in case anybody's wondering. Younger than some people out there, but I'm not a baby. Not by any means. Alrighty. Before we get out of here, let's do some housekeeping. I mentioned it a little bit earlier. If you aren't following me, you're still here, you're listening, paying attention at Popes FFH. I definitely have to update the graphic to put my handle on there. I will do probably, somewhere down it. You can't see my mouse, but just below where it says start sit, that black line, somewhere in there. I'll edit next week. Irrelevant. Don't really care too much about the follower count. As long as you're tuning in and getting the advice, that's all that matters. But if you want the constant advice, much like Reset gives me the love the content backing, toss me a follow at Popes FFH. Make sure you're following FTN, obviously, as well, who's hosting this show at FTN Fantasy. They are on more social media platforms than I am. I am on Blue Sky and X. FTN is on everything and anything that you are looking for, including YouTube, which many of you are watching on here. So make sure you toss the subscribe, the likes, share it, enjoy the great content that comes with FTN. If you want to sign up as well, head on over to ftnfantasy.com. That's where you'll get the access to all of it. You got to subscribe, but you'll get our weekly rankings. So you can get those all week from myself, Tyler Orginski, Jeff Radcliffe. Two definitely of best in the business. Tyler just won the accuracy competition last year. I'm still shooting for it. I wouldn't consider myself the best. I'm decent. I'm average. We'll call it in that competition. I think I'm the best personally. You know what I'm saying? No. Either way, not proven to be, but Jeff Radcliffe has been the best in the business for a long time for those rankings. Rankings really help you win weeks in and out. Also, we do a good job of keeping you level-headed, not making too many crazy start-sit decisions based on things that happened in the past, because the future is not the past. As much as we want it to be, it is not. So the game is harder than that. Otherwise, we'd all be very, very good. So again, head on over, check out FTN Fantasy. Tune in with me weekly, every Sunday. It's always fun, too. Always have a good time here. We talk about anything. We had some dynasty questions, some trade questions today. We talk about what type of coffee you like. Personally, mine is Wegmans. If you're not familiar with the area, that's a Buffalo, New York, Rochester area. I know that they're branching out a little PA, stuff like that. Wegmans, and it is black. In case you're wondering, if you want to talk about coffee orders, we can do that. We can do whatever your little heart desires. We're hanging out here to answer start sit questions. That's a priority. But we do everything and anything here on the Sunday morning show. So we got heart on X. Those cool little black heart emoji things you can kind of do. DK or AK. I like that. It's like an initial battle. Guess should we go alphabetical? Go with AK. No, I'm gonna go DK there, as opposed to Alvin Kamara. So I'm in on DK. Revenge game. Gotta love the revenge game narratives, right? Gonna ride that one out. Full PPR, DJ or Tyreek. That one's close. Double check their rankings. Don't want to give the wrong information. I'm gonna go Tyreek there. Then Mason or Pearsall would be Mason, especially considering it is standard and non-PPR. Let's see here. I'm going to click this button. I just want to try something. What? How's this work? Someone comment for me. It says show comments on stage. I've been meaning to try this button. Should have tried it earlier. Didn't, because I'm lacking. When someone comments, we're going to see what it does. Because I'm curious. Just curious. I'm an exploratory, inquisitive person. So someone on YouTube, X, someone please comment. Maybe I'll comment myself. Should I comment myself? Let's see what it looks like. Let's see. Let's fit in a couple last minute questions here. If we got any that we can get rolling in here. Brown, Hunter, or Pickens? I will go Hollywood Brown there. Hampton or Travion Henderson would be Henderson for me. Let's see here. Yeah, we'll deal with it next week. All right. It's died down. We're just going to call it. So we don't have to all just sit here and stare at each other in silence. You know what I mean? I know that's a fun hobby. Some peeps do that, right? We're not going to do that. So I will beg you farewell, boys and gals. Thank you for tuning in. If you did not, you're not even listening. So who cares, right? You should join though. Either way, thank you for coming in. Thank you for hanging out. It's been a pleasure. Let's enjoy week 2. Red zone wasn't as bad as we thought. Should have led with that, honestly. Forgot about that in the starting portion of this thing. Red zone. Enjoy red zone if you're going to watch that. If not, enjoy the 8 TVs you're watching. Enjoy the game if you're headed out to the game. And best of luck in your fantasy matchups this week. Hopefully we can get a win. Maybe we're bouncing back into the 1-1. Maybe we're going to 2-0. As long as we aren't falling to that dreaded 0-2. But it's not over if you're 0-2. Don't give in. All right. Either way. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next Sunday. Same time, same place, 11 a.m., YouTube and X for FTN Fantasy, and for myself at Popes FFH. Thank you. Much appreciated, and have a good Sunday. Enjoy football.